What's going on, everybody? We are back with another Oscars predictions video. I've already predicted Best Picture, Lead Acting categories, Supporting Acting categories, so go watch those videos if you haven't already. And today I'll be predicting Director and the Screenplay categories. We are starting to get in the swing of award season with some of the critics groups coming up, so let's get right into the video. Starting off with Director, we really do just have two locks for this category. The other three slots are absolutely up in the air, and it really does seem like it's going to be a two-horse race between Brady Corbet for The Brutalist and Sean Baker for Anora. I do think Corbet has the advantage right now, with The Brutalist being a 3.5-hour larger-than-life epic with only a $6 million budget. Everyone who has seen it is blown away by the fact that everything could look so perfectly for that little. So the direction, the vision from Corbett to make this sprawling epic of a film has been the most praised aspect. So even if we're seeing Anora win Best Picture, I could see a picture-director split this year and Corbett take director just because of how singular his vision for this film is. Sean Baker for Anora is of course very, very close to him. I think Baker could steal a lot of critics groups from Corbett and could take a couple of the precursors. I think Baker's very likely to actually win Critics' Choice and DGA, and that might be enough to put Baker over Corbett with how strong Anora is going to be. And if Anora is winning Best Picture, that sets up Baker very well in this category. Another reason why I think that Baker might not be able to win Director, even if it is winning Picture though, is because this might just be thought of as more of a acting and writing showcase instead of directing, and because Brady Corbet has that advantage with the film being such a technical marvel, I think Baker might fall short here, but still a very, very good chance to win. Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2. Denis was snubbed for the first Dune, so I am seeing a lot of people predicting that to happen again, but I am not going to partake in that. I think Dune Part 2 is wildly better than the first one, and I think he is going to be too hard to ignore this time, considering just how incredibly impressive Dune is on a technical level. That could not be done without Denis Villeneuve's direction, and I think the Academy is going to recognize that this time and nominate him, even though the director's branch is generally more highbrow and adverse to populist blockbuster picks. I think they're going to make the right decision this time and nominate him. Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys is someone who I feel oddly confident in at the moment. As I said, the director's branch loves their highbrow auteur type picks, and that's exactly what Ramel Ross is. He fits that bill perfectly. You know, many have said who have seen Nickel Boys that, you know, this film is adapting a Pulitzer Prize-winning novel. It did not need to be as experimental and as bold as it was technically to be an Oscars thing. It could have easily been an Oscar bait conventional type movie and it would still hit with the Academy, but Ramel Ross, being the auteur that he is, added such an interesting flavor to it, and I think the director's branch is absolutely going to want to honor him for his work in this film. The fifth slot is where I'm taking a bit of a detour from popular picks. I am slotting in Mohammad Rasulullah for The Seed of the Sacred Fig. I am taking a risk here. I did think I was like one of the first ones to do this, predicted in picture and director, but I see Matt Neglia is predicting the same, so I don't look as cool anymore. But Sacred Fig, I feel like, is a film that is going to get propped up by critics groups. I think the LA Film Critics Association especially might give it a major award like picture or director, and I think that would be very warranted. You know, Mohammad Rasulullah was going to get arrested in Iran for making this film, so I think the Academy is going to want to honor his bravery for taking on this project and completing it and giving it to the world. And I think they are going to give him a Best Director nomination for that. and I think the film is going to get into Best Picture at the moment. Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, I know a lot of people still have safely in their directing lineup. I do not, because I think these picks above him are more in line with what the director's branch likes, being their highbrow auteur selves. And Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, I don't believe is going to be their thing. So I think they might leave him out because they recognize that this is not his best directorial effort, not even close, and they may want to leave him out in order to recognize him for something better in a few years from now. Edward Berger for Conclave is another that a lot of people think are safe in the Best Director lineup, and I just don't agree. If Berger was able to get snubbed for All Quiet on the Western Front, which was top 3, maybe even number 2 for picture a couple years ago, then he can definitely get snubbed for Conclave, especially since Conclave is much more of an acting and writing showcase than it is on a technical level like All Quiet was. Coralie Farjat for The Substance. If The Substance is really hitting, I can see this happening, but it seems like you kind of gotta take a side. Is The Substance happening? Is it not? I'm leaning no, just because I think the genre bias is going to be too much and the Academy is not going to be able to fully embrace The Substance as a whole. So for that reason, I'm leaving Farjat out for other contenders. However, if she starts hitting at some of the precursors, I may have to rethink that and start putting Substance in picture and director and some other categories. Pedro Almodovar for The Room Next Door, I just have here in case the international block of the Academy is really strong and really goes out for this, and I don't really think that's going to happen. Even if The Room Next Door gets into Best Picture, I don't think director's happening. I think on its best day, The Room Next Door would get picture, actress, screenplay, and score, and it would get left out of director for some of these more serious contenders above. However, I have it here just to be safe. And number 10, I do not see John M. Chu for Wicked hitting in Best Director with the Academy. I do think it's actually pretty likely that he could get a DGA and a Critics' Choice nomination, which is why he's on the list, just out of precaution. But it just is not the type of thing that the Academy's director's branch would go for. If they're already putting Denis Villeneuve in for Dune, they are not putting another populist blockbuster in Best Director. Other people that I don't even have listed here that people are still predicting: Steve McQueen for Blitz, Ridley Scott for Gladiator 2. Blitz is just such a nothing movie, and I think the Academy as a whole, but especially the director's branch, are going to be really disappointed in the fact that Blitz just does not have any of the normal flourishes of McQueen's work and how conventional it is. They're just not going to go out for this film. And Gladiator 2, like I said with Wicked, they're not going to put another director for a blockbuster into Best Director, and I really don't think Ridley has any chance at all. I realize that Clayton Davis at Variety is still predicting him to win somehow. Gladiator 2 is not happening in any category aside from maybe Denzel and some techs, and even if it was in picture, it would be far away from the Best Director race. Moving on to Original Screenplay, Anora is winning this. The writing is the most acclaimed aspect of the film. It's felt like a lock for the win since it debuted back at Cannes, and I just don't see how it could lose this at this point. Even if it isn't winning another award at the Oscars, it's going to win Original Screenplay. The Brutalist, I think, is safely in there for Screenplay. I don't think it's going to win. If Oppenheimer couldn't beat American Fiction last year, I don't think The Brutalist is going to be able to take down Anora in this category this year. Even if The Brutalist is winning picture, I don't see it happening here. So I think it's safe for the nomination, but just isn't going to be able to win this category. A Real Pain is absolutely a writing showcase from Jesse Eisenberg, and even if the film isn't hitting in Best Picture, I think the writing, being how strong it is, it's got a lot of humor, has a lot of heart, made me tear up at times. It's just a very, very, very well-written screenplay, and I think the Academy's going to recognize this, even if the film is a little too small to get into some of the major categories. I think screenplay is a safe nomination. The Seat of the Sacred Fig, With how weak original screenplay is, I have had this in for a while, even longer than I've had the film in picture and director. And if I have it getting in picture and director, of course I have it getting into this weak screenplay category. And I think this film is just going to get that Drive My Car package of picture, director, screenplay, international film. And even if it doesn't get into picture or director and it's just not strong enough, or Neon is just focusing all their time in on Anora and not really campaigning Sacred Fig enough, I can see Sacred Fig still getting the nomination here because of the weakness of the category, and it would still be a way to honor Rasulov. The fifth slot is really difficult. I have been moving some things around. For now, I'm settling on Hard Truths getting in here. Ever since Secrets and Lies, his big awards breakthrough, Mike Leigh has gotten 4 screenplay nominations out of 8 movies, and I think this one is going to be another one in that list of screenplay nominations for Mike Leigh. And I think it's going to be very well deserved. It is a very well acclaimed film, and even though it is Bleecker Street, I just think that the Academy's respect for Mike Leigh as a filmmaker and a writer is going to be enough to overcome those obstacles of Bleecker Street being its distributor. The Substance I have really close. I've been wanting to move it in here, but because I'm just taking the stance that it's not going to happen in picture, I'm leaving The Substance out of screenplay. However, with how open this is, I can see The Substance getting in. So like I said in director, if the precursors start to roll around and The Substance starts to hit in some of these categories, I'm going to have to move this up into my top 5. Challengers, I've said in the last couple videos, I don't think is getting an awards resurgence, and I still believe that. I don't think a lone screenplay nomination is going to happen with some of the contenders above. However, I would really love it if it did at least get into screenplay because it absolutely deserves it, but I don't think that's going to happen at the moment. September 5 is another film where I just don't buy the fact that some people are predicting it for a lone screenplay nomination. Paramount has not been pushing this film at all, it feels like. I have seen absolutely nothing in the marketing department for this, and I just think September 5 is going to fall flat with a lot of people, and for that reason I have it missing. Moving on to adapted screenplay, yes, I still have Sing Sing at number 1. I have Sing Sing winning Best Adapted Screenplay, and the reason for that is simply I think it is going to get that resurgence. I think people are doubting this film too much. A24 is planning a wide re-release in January in time for it to get momentum into the awards season, and the screenplay is great. It evokes so much passion that I just think when industry voters see this film, they're going to want to vote for it in a category like screenplay. And it also has a great narrative because a lot of these former prisoners worked on the story for this film as well, so that could be an added incentive to award this film in this category. Conclave, a lot of people have been putting at number 1 in this category, and I completely understand. The writing is really excellent in Conclave, and if the film turns out to be really strong and Sing Sing doesn't get that resurgence like I'm thinking, I can easily see Conclave taking this award. Nickel Boys, I think, is definitely safe for a screenplay nomination, even if the film is a little bit too divisive to get into picture and even director. I think that screenplay is safe. Like I said, it's adapting a Pulitzer Prize winner. Everyone has been gushing about the story and the writing, so I think that this is a safe nomination for the film. Dune Part 2 I also think is a pretty safe nomination. It won't be in win contention at all, but the first Dune got nominated, the second one's better, even on a writing standpoint, so I don't see why this one would miss. The 5th slot, once again, this is where it gets pretty tough. I have The Room Next Door getting in at the moment. I think with the international backing that it's going to get, it won't be enough for picture or director, of course, but I think that paired with some of the American audience voting for it because it's Almodovar's first English language feature, I could see The Room Next Door just having enough to get over the line, because some of these contenders below just have things that I'm weary about. They have some obstacles, and I think The Room Next Door is the most likely of these up in the air contenders for a screenplay nomination to get in. Amelia Perez, ever since I saw it, this has been the category that people have been predicting that I've been least confident in. The story is all over the place. The writing is easily the weakest aspect. And even if this film is hitting for the Academy, I can see enough people acknowledging the fact that the writing is a mess, the story is a mess, and leaving it out of screenplay. And also, musicals tend to not get these screenplay nominations unless they are really, really strong in Best Picture win contention. So I think Amelia Perez is going to get left out because of the sloppy nature of its writing. And writing off that idea of musicals not getting screenplay nominations, I don't think Wicked is going to get in either. I have seen some people that I really trust start to put this in at number 5, and I get it. There aren't many good contenders here, but I just think the Broadway adaptation just isn't going to be enough to get into this category. I still think the film is going to be really strong, maybe top 5 for Best Picture and get into a lot of categories, but I don't think screenplay is going to be one of them. A Complete Unknown, I don't buy it here. Many of these singer biopics just don't hit in screenplay. Elvis and Bohemian Rhapsody both got a lot of nominations. Bohemian Rhapsody quite a few wins even, and neither of those films got into Best Screenplay, so I don't see how A Complete Unknown being less exciting than those films could get in. 9, I have I'm Still Here. This could get that A Separation, Worst Person in the World treatment of getting International Feature Screenplay, but I just don't think this is going to be strong enough with the Academy to get that over some of these contenders that are more in line for Best Picture nominations. And Hitman, I have listed here just because I have heard rumors that Netflix is going to try to push this in both screenplay and actor really hard. So it's a possibility with Netflix's backing, but I just really don't see it hitting over some of these other films above. And that is it for my director and screenplay predictions, everybody. What did you think of my predictions? What do you think? What are your predictions? Let me know down in the comments. Do you agree with Sing Sing still being at number 1? Do you agree with Rasulov being in director? What do you feel about Denis Villeneuve? Can he get snubbed again? Let me know your thoughts, and if you liked what you saw here today and you would like to see more, subscribe to follow the odyssey that is Oscar season.